I do not blame Aaron Rodgers for the struggles of this Packers offense, and I'm going to tell you exactly why in this video, and let's just jump into the tape and me explaining why it is. And again, I want to be very clear, there are reasons to put blame on Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying he's playing perfect. He certainly isn't at the MVP level he was the past 2 seasons. However, I have heard a lot of people say things like Aaron Rodgers is the issue. And again, I'm not talking about his leadership because I don't know. I'm not in the locker room. I can't speak on that. Actually, I'll give maybe some small thoughts on it at the end of the video because, you know, it does come into play a little bit. It doesn't matter. I'm not saying that stuff doesn't matter. But on the football field, Rodgers is still playing great. And let's use this as an example of just what's going wrong with this Packers team and how no quarterback would look good in this situation. It's zone coverage, and you see the routes the receivers are running. It's going to be a play action. So really that route over the middle is kind of the main one you hope gets open. Right when this play begins, Rodgers is going to take the snap. He rolls out towards the bottom of the screen, and I've circled all 5 eligible receivers. Actually, I made a mistake on one of the circles. I circled an offensive lineman instead of a halfback, but the halfback's not open either. So trust me, no one's getting open here. This is a tough situation. No quarterback can accomplish anything. Maybe Lamar Jackson can make like 6 guys miss and run for a bunch of yards, but like that's an exception to the rule. The reality is, this is just happening frequently. I mean, go back, if you have a NFL Game Pass and you can do this, seriously, go just watch random Packers plays. You'll be shocked at how frequently this happens. Some people will say, well, a great quarterback has to be good in any situation. No, that's just not true. I mean, we saw how bad Tom Brady looked his last year in New England when he was in a bad situation. If you're in a situation where guys aren't getting open, you're just not going to look good. It's just that simple. As you see, Rodgers does what he can. He bides as much time as possible, eventually throws that ball away. But these are the plays that make me say, like, yeah, listen, I get it. I get that everyone likes to make fun of Aaron Rodgers. He's a very fun target. Trust me, I've done it myself too. It's very fun. But the idea that his play has dropped off is just factually not true. One thing I saw in this game that made me think, hey, maybe this is a potential fix for the Packers offense, although maybe not a great one, is going to be this play. It's going to be a cover 2 man, so man coverage and 2 safeties deep. One thing that you can do is something that Rodgers is going to do on this play, and it's a bit of a unique way to potentially move the ball down the field. Watch how Rodgers takes the snap, and you're going to see what you typically see. Again, no Packers player open here at all. Maybe you could throw a check down on a 3rd down and long to try to pick up a yard or 2. I mean, that's the best case scenario. There is nobody open. And again, it's these types of coverages that have been giving the Packers trouble really since the Giants did it in that London game. That was, the 5th game of the season. The Packers were 3-1. Before going into that game, they have yet to win since that game. And it's largely been because of this coverage. Well, Rodgers is actually going to find a way to beat it. And remember when I kind of joked about, well, maybe if Lamar Jackson was on that last play, he could have found a way to get some yards? Well, Rodgers is going to use his legs to pick up some yards. And listen, this might be a way that the Packers have to move the ball down the field. They're not going to be able to do it super effectively, right? It's not something that they're going to be able to do super consistently. I'm not going to pretend that, Rodgers is Lamar Jackson, or even what Rodgers was 5 years ago. I think people might say this is a silly take. I'm not sitting here and saying that Rodgers should start running for 100 yards a game or even 50 yards a game. Just on the occasional 3rd down, maybe using his legs more might be what he has to do to give them a chance. And maybe the Packers are just dead and we don't even have to worry about what they can do better. But if they're not, this might be a way to, just a small thing I saw, hey, maybe do this more often. It could just give yourself a chance. Give yourself just another backup plan when these plays do go wrong. And again, going over here, I have to say, when stuff is going well, Rodgers is hitting it. Like, Rodgers is hitting it at still a very high rate when he is in a good situation. This play is a prime example of that, where it's a zone coverage play. Again, kind of similar, where you have the play action, you see the routes on the screen. That over the middle route tends to be the one that gets open. Rodgers is going to take a snap. He is going to run to play action, and you see Mercedes Lewis is a little bit open, but I mean, this is such a tough angle throw, right? You have multiple Lions players. Rodgers is going to have to throw over. He's throwing across his body. Shout out to Brett Favre. And also, he's off balance here. He's going to have to throw off balance. So all of that combined is a difficult and very high degree of difficulty play. Watch Aaron Rodgers make this throw. Again, that's the thing of beauty right there. And these are the kind of plays that make you say, I've heard some people speculate maybe the Packers should trade Aaron Rodgers. I've even heard people go as far as to say that the Packers wouldn't be able to get much value for Aaron Rodgers. I think that's silly. Again, the Packers are in a tough spot. They have other resources. They chose to not go after the second most important position in football, which is wide receivers, and that's why they're struggling so much. It's not because, yes, Rodgers does take a big contract, but, he's still worth that contract. The contract was Rodgers has to continue playing at a very high level or this contract will be a bust. In my opinion, he is still playing at a high level. Yes, he missed that throw to David Bakhtiari. Yes, that happened, but again, missed throws do happen. Even great players miss throws. Every quarterback this year has had bad missed throws. Going over here, this is still the play that is giving the Packers the most issues, and this is still something that I don't think they're going to figure it out this season. I don't think the Packers are going to turn it around. I don't think the Packers are going to make the playoffs. These are not hot takes. These are very mild takes. I think that's kind of what people are expecting, but these one-on-one matchups on the outside is where the Packers are just, they can't get it done. But again, it's not Rodgers' fault. Watch how Rodgers takes the snap. You see nobody is open on the outside. He makes this throw, and it is incomplete. There was just no separation there. Rodgers put that ball exactly where he should have put it. That's a receiver play. Like, you need a receiver to be able to make that play, or you're not going to have an effective offense in this league. And you don't have to make it incredibly well, but you have to at least be able to have a receiver who can be okay at it if you're going to be successful. One of the things I keep pointing out is look at the past 4 Super Bowl teams. You had the Buccaneers, the Chiefs, the Bengals, and the Rams. 4 great receiving cores. In the past 11 seasons, which is as far back as I did the data on, there has not been a below average receiving core to make the Super Bowl. So that is where we're at. I mean, bad receiving cores do not go on deep runs, and they have hard times winning football games. But again, not much a quarterback can do about it. Really, a play like this is the most a quarterback can do about it, I would say, where it's going to be a man coverage play, one-on-one matchup. You have Allen Lazard again. He's kind of the one guy who's done okay at those types of routes. He didn't get the last one, but he's at least one with some consistency. I mean, I guess he's won, like not a lot, but he hasn't been consistent, but he has at least won. And this is a situation, one-on-one matchup on the outside. Rodgers is going to take the snap. You're going to see Allen Lazard, again, he doesn't really have any separation, but you have to get rid of football. I mean, you have to trust your receiver here, similar to that last play. Like, you have to just trust a receiver. Rodgers throws one up. Allen Lazard maybe even pushed off a little bit to make the catch, but like, that's just the hope, is that you can make those plays happen. But it does make you think, like, man, if they had Davante Adams, I think this offense is still running as smoothly as it was last year. I really do, or at least close to as smoothly as it was running last year. I think that losing all those, losing a receiver of that caliber and the way that they tried to replace it it was very little what they tried to do, and it just has not worked out. It's tough, but to the people saying this is, Rodgers' play fault, in my opinion, Aaron Rodgers is the only thing from keeping this team from being a complete dumpster fire. That's just how I see it from when I watched the tape. And again, if you want to say, well, he shouldn't have taken that big contract, I've always kind of defended him in that I don't get why Rodgers is the one guy who gets the criticism for that stuff. Like, only Tom Brady I have seen take these team discounts. It feels like every other quarterback ever has always tried to get as much money as possible, and I think that's probably fair. They should probably put their livelihood above football. I think that that's reasonable. That's my opinion. I get some people disagree. Some people will say, like, well, hey, when you're making that much money, what's the difference? And I don't know, but just from what I've heard from people who, have made that much money, is that no matter how much money you have, you can always find a way to spend it. And again, for the leadership stuff, like, yeah, okay, fine. I guess that's fair. Like, I've never considered him to be a particularly great leader. Maybe if he was a better leader, things would be going a little bit smoother. To me, I think that kind of makes him annoying. I don't know if it actually matters on the football field as much, but also, like, quarterbacks being a leader is kind of a thing that started with Tom Brady. Like, that's not something that, like, is necessarily what you have to do. You have to be a leader on the field, but in terms of, like, someone who's rallying the troops and getting everyone's morale high and stuff like that, that's typically what you expect from, like, a coach, not necessarily a quarterback. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on that stuff. And, I just don't love talking about, like, stuff that I don't know, right? I don't know who Aaron Rodgers is as a person. Jokes are fine, but, like, I don't know him as a person. I'm not going to sit here and actually call him, like, a bad person or anything. And I'm definitely not going to call him a bad football player. I think if to people blaming his football prowess I think that's silly. I just do. But that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.